Listen, I'm about to share something with you that could save you thousands of dollars, but might also get me in trouble with dealerships and some mechanics who profit from your ignorance. These 10 tricks aren't illegal in the criminal sense, but they're so effective that the auto industry would rather you never knew about them. I've spent 30 years under the hood, worked in dealerships, independent shops, and now I'm here to tell you the truth they don't want you to hear. What I'm about to reveal works especially well on used and semi-new cars, those vehicles sitting between 50,000 and 150,000 miles that still have plenty of life left if you know how to treat them right. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because I upload real mechanic secrets every single week, the kind of information that separates cars that die at 100,000 miles from those that cruise past 300,000. Trick number 1. The throttle body cleaning conspiracy. Here's what they don't tell you at the quick lube shop. That throttle body cleaning service they push for $89, you can do it yourself in 10 minutes for about $6. The throttle body controls airflow into your engine, and over time it gets caked with carbon deposits, oil residue, and dirt. This buildup restricts airflow, kills your fuel economy, causes rough idling, and makes your car feel sluggish. Dealerships and chain shops know this is an easy upsell because most drivers have never even seen their throttle body, let alone cleaned it. They'll charge you premium labor rates for something so simple a teenager could do it. Here's the illegal part. Not really illegal, but they'd hate for you to know. You don't need special tools or fancy cleaners. Remove your air intake tube. It's usually held by 2 clamps and maybe a sensor plug. Spray throttle body cleaner directly onto the butterfly valve and the housing walls. Use an old toothbrush to scrub away the black gunk. Wipe it clean with a microfiber cloth, reinstall everything, and start your car. The first few seconds might run rough as the computer relearns the clean airflow, but within a minute you'll feel the difference. Better throttle response, smoother idle, and on most cars you'll gain 1 to 2 miles per gallon instantly. I've done this on Hondas with 200,000 miles, and they ran like they had 80,000. The manufacturers know this maintenance extends engine life, but they bury it deep in the service manual under recommended maintenance at 100,000-mile intervals. Why? Because if everyone did this simple job themselves, that's millions in lost service revenue. One warning though. On some cars, especially German makes with electronic throttle control, the computer might throw a code after cleaning because the airflow changed dramatically. Just disconnect your battery for 5 minutes to reset the adaptive memory, or drive it for 20 miles and let the computer relearn. This single trick has saved my viewers more money than any other tip I've shared. Trick number 2. The fuel injector flush scam and what actually works. Walk into any shop with a check engine light and they'll run a scan. If it shows misfire codes, the first thing they'll recommend is a fuel injector cleaning service. Cost? Anywhere from $120 to $300 depending on how fancy the machine looks. Here's the truth. In my 30 years wrenching on cars, I've seen maybe a dozen cases where fuel injectors were actually clogged enough to need professional cleaning. Maybe a dozen out of thousands of cars. The real problem? Carbon buildup on intake valves, especially on direct injection engines like those in Ford EcoBoosts, Volkswagen TSIs, and modern Audis. These engines spray fuel directly into the combustion chamber, bypassing the intake valves entirely. Without fuel washing over them, carbon accumulates until airflow drops and misfires start. Professional walnut blasting to clean those valves costs $400 to $800. But here's what actually works for 90% of cases and costs you about $15. Buy a bottle of Chevron Techron Concentrate Plus or Liqui Moly Jectron. These aren't your average fuel additives. They contain polyethylamine detergents at concentrations 5 times higher than what's in pump gas. Pour the entire bottle into a nearly empty tank, then fill up with premium fuel. Drive the car hard, I mean really hard. Find a highway on-ramp and run it through the gears at wide-open throttle several times. The combination of strong detergents and high exhaust gas temperatures will burn off carbon deposits that have been choking your engine. I've personally tested this on a 2015 Mazda 3 with with 95,000 miles that was misfiring on cylinder 3. The owner had been quoted $450 for injector service. One bottle of Techron, one tank of 93 octane, and 20 minutes of spirited driving later, the misfire disappeared completely. Scanner showed perfect fuel trims. That was 18 months ago, and the car still runs flawlessly. Why don't mechanics tell you this? Because a $15 bottle of additive doesn't pay the rent. A $300 service does. Now, I'm not saying professional cleaning is never needed. If you've got 200,000 miles on a direct injection engine and you've never used quality fuel additives, you might need the walnut blasting. But for preventive maintenance and mild carbon issues, this method works beautifully, and it's what I use on my own vehicles every 10,000 miles. Trick number 3. The air filter upsell you must avoid. This one makes my blood boil because it's so blatant, yet so many people fall for it. You take your car in for an oil change at one of those quick lube chains. The technician comes out holding your air filter. It's filthy and covered in dirt. He shows you how little light passes through it and says you need a new one immediately. Cost $35 to $50 for a filter that costs them $8 wholesale. Here's the illegal secret. Most of the time, that filter is perfectly fine. Air filters are designed to trap dirt. A slightly dirty filter actually filters better than a brand new one because the trapped particles help catch additional dirt. You don't need to replace it until airflow is seriously restricted, which typically happens around 30,000 to 50,000 miles, depending on your driving conditions. The trick these shops use is they'll tap the filter on the ground to loosen surface dirt, making it look worse than it is. Then they hold it up to a light source so you see all the dust particles. It's pure theater designed to scare you into an unnecessary purchase. What you should actually do is this. Ask to see the filter yourself. Take it outside and tap it firmly against concrete several times to dislodge loose dirt. Hold it up to sunlight, not a flashlight. If you can see light passing through most of the filter media, it's still good. If it's genuinely black and clogged, then yes, replace it. Better yet, buy your own filter online for $12 to $18 and swap it yourself. On most cars, it takes 60 seconds and requires zero tools. Pop the clips, lift the cover, swap the filter, close it up. My 2018 Toyota gets an air filter every 40,000 miles and runs perfectly. The dealership tried to sell me one at 15,000 miles. I checked it myself and it was barely dusty. Here's the part they really hate. Some performance air filters like K&N are washable and reusable. Buy it once for $50 and clean it every 50,000 miles for the life of the vehicle. I've got a K&N filter in my truck that's been there for 12 years and 180,000 miles. Cleaned it 4 times, still works perfectly. That's money staying in your pocket instead of enriching corporate quick lube profits. Trick number 4. The transmission fluid change conspiracy. This is where I'll make some enemies in the industry, but you deserve to know the truth. How many times have you heard that you should never change transmission fluid in a high-mileage car because it'll cause the transmission to fail? It's become automotive gospel, repeated by mechanics and internet experts everywhere. It's also completely backwards. Here's what really happens. Modern automatic transmissions are designed to run on clean fluid with proper friction characteristics. As that fluid ages, it oxidizes, loses its friction modifiers, and accumulates clutch material and metal particles. By 100,000 miles, your transmission fluid looks like chocolate milk and provides almost no protection. The clutches inside are slipping microscopically, wearing faster, generating heat. The transmission is dying slowly. Then someone finally changes the fluid. Fresh fluid has stronger detergents and better friction characteristics. It immediately shows every worn surface, every glazed clutch pack, every failing seal that the old degraded fluid was masking. Within a few thousand miles, the transmission fails. Everyone blames the fluid change when the real culprit was 100,000 miles of neglect. The damage was already done. The fresh fluid just exposed it. Here's the illegal truth. If you change your transmission fluid regularly, every 40,000 to 60,000 miles, your transmission will outlast the rest of your car. I've got a Honda Accord with 287,000 miles on the original transmission. I've changed the fluid 6 times. Still shifts like new. My neighbor believed the never change it myth. His transmission failed at 140,000 miles. Same car, same model year, same engine. The reason this myth persists exists is because it benefits multiple parties. Dealerships sell new transmissions for $4,000 to $8,000. Quick lube shops avoid liability from changing fluid in already damaged transmissions. And drivers who neglected maintenance get to blame something other than their own neglect. The real illegal secret here is this: you can drain and fill your transmission fluid yourself in most cars. It's not a complete flush, just replacing 3 to 4 quarts out of the total capacity, but done regularly it keeps the fluid fresh enough to prevent damage. Pop the transmission pan bolt, drain the old fluid, reinstall the bolt, pour in fresh fluid through the dipstick tube or fill plug. Cost: about $25 if you buy fluid in bulk. Dealership wants $180 to $250 for the same service. Do this every 40,000 miles and I guarantee your transmission will outlive the engine. I've rebuilt enough transmissions to know that 95% of failures are fluid-related. Dark, burnt fluid equals death. Fresh, red fluid equals life. It's that simple. Trick number 5. The spark plug interval lie. Your owner's manual says spark plugs should be changed at 100,000 miles. Some newer cars even say 120,000 miles. So you wait, trusting the manufacturer knows best. Then, at 105,000 miles, your check engine light comes on. Misfires on multiple cylinders. You limp to the shop and they quote you $600, not just for spark plugs, but for ignition coils that failed because the old spark plugs made them work harder. Plus, diagnostic fees and possible carbon cleaning because the misfires fouled your catalytic converter. Here's what they don't tell you in that owner's manual. Those extended spark plug intervals exist for one reason only: to make the cost of ownership appear lower when you're comparing new cars. Lower scheduled maintenance equals a better selling point. Manufacturer engineers know that spark plugs degrade over time. The electrode wears down, the gap increases, voltage requirements go up, and ignition coils strain to make a strong enough spark. By 80,000 miles, those spark plugs are past their prime. By 100,000 miles, they're on borrowed time. The illegal secret mechanics know but rarely share. Change your spark plugs at 60,000 miles regardless of what the manual says. At 60,000 miles, the plugs still have enough electrode left to fire efficiently, but they're entering the wear zone. Swapping them at this interval prevents misfires, protects your ignition coils, which cost $80 to $150 each, maintains fuel economy, and ensures complete combustion, which keeps your catalytic converter clean. I tested this theory on my own fleet. One car followed the 100,000-mile interval. At 103,000 miles, it needed plugs and 2 coils. Total cost $520. The other car got plugs at 60,000 miles. At 180,000 miles, it's still on the original ignition coils and runs perfectly. The spark plugs I pulled at 60,000 showed visible wear but were still functional. The ones at 100,000 were destroyed. Gaps widened from 0.044 inches to nearly 0.070 inches. Most shade tree mechanics can change spark plugs themselves. Buy quality plugs, NGK or Denso. Not the cheapest or the most expensive. Follow the torque specs. Use dielectric grease on the boots. The job takes an hour on 4-cylinder engines, maybe 2 hours on V6 engines if they're buried. You'll spend $40 to $80 on plugs and save hundreds in labor and coil replacements down the road. Trick number 6. The coolant system failure nobody mentions. Ask any mechanic what causes most engine overheating, and they'll say thermostat, water pump, or radiator failure. All true, but there's a hidden killer that almost nobody checks until it's too late: your coolant itself. Coolant doesn't just prevent freezing and boiling. It's a complex chemical solution with corrosion inhibitors, pH buffers, and lubricants for the water pump seal. Over time, these additives break down. The coolant becomes acidic. That acid eats away at aluminum radiators, heater cores, and cylinder head gaskets from the inside. By the time you see external symptoms, rust-colored coolant or overheating, the damage is catastrophic. You're looking at a $1,200 radiator replacement or a $2,000 head gasket job, all because 10-year-old coolant turned into corrosive soup. The manufacturer says coolant is good for 100,000 miles or 10 years. That's technically true when the system is perfect, but tiny air leaks, contamination from a previous repair, or even a failing radiator cap can accelerate degradation. Here's the illegal trick professional mechanics use on their own cars. Test your coolant pH every 2 years with a $5 test strip kit. If the pH drops below 8.5, the coolant is becoming acidic and needs changing regardless of mileage. Fresh coolant runs at pH 10 to 10.5. Acidic coolant at pH 7 or below will dissolve aluminum in months. I've seen radiators with holes eaten through from the inside because the owner trusted the 100,000-mile interval. Changing coolant yourself is easy. Let the engine cool completely. Open the radiator drain valve or remove the lower radiator hose. Drain into a container. Coolant is toxic, so dispose properly. Flush with distilled water until it runs clear. Close everything up. Mix fresh coolant 50-50 with distilled water, never tap water, and fill the system. Run the engine with the radiator cap off until the thermostat opens and air bubbles escape. Top off, and you're done. Cost? About $25 for coolant. Dealership charges $150 to $200. I do this every 4 years on every vehicle I own. Never had a cooling system failure. Never had a head gasket leak. My 2005 truck has 310,000 miles on the original radiator and water pump. The secret? Fresh coolant with active corrosion inhibitors. It's cheap insurance that almost nobody takes seriously until their engine is overheating on the highway. Trick number 7. The brake fluid scam everyone falls for. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture from the air. Over 3 to 4 years, your brake fluid can contain up to 3% water. That water lowers the boiling point from 450 degrees Fahrenheit down to 300 degrees or less. When you're descending a mountain or making repeated hard stops, that fluid boils. Boiling fluid creates vapor bubbles. Vapor compresses. Your brake pedal goes to the floor and you have no brakes. This has killed people. The manufacturer knows this. That's why every owner's manual specifies brake fluid changes every 3 years or 30,000 miles. Yet I'd bet 90% of drivers have never changed their brake fluid. Not once. They're driving on 10-year-old brake fluid filled with water and corrosion. When they finally go to a shop for a brake job, the mechanic opens the reservoir and finds black, contaminated fluid. Suddenly, the brake job quote jumps from $300 to $650 because they need to flush the entire system. Here's the illegal secret. You can change your own brake fluid with a $12 hand pump bleeder kit and 1 hour of time. Start at the wheel furthest from the master cylinder, usually right rear. Attach the bleeder kit to the bleeder screw. Pump out old fluid until fresh, clean fluid appears. Move to the next furthest wheel. Repeat until all 4 corners are done. Keep the master cylinder reservoir topped off during the process so you don't introduce air. That's it. You've just done a complete brake fluid flush for the cost of 1 quart of fluid. The shops hate when you know this because brake fluid flushes are nearly pure profit. The fluid costs them $8 per quart. They charge you $120 to $180 in labor. You can accomplish the same result in your driveway while listening to a podcast. I've been changing my own brake fluid every 3 years for decades. Never had a brake failure. Never had a caliper seize from corroded fluid. And my brake components last twice as long as average because fresh fluid doesn't corrode the internal seals and pistons. There's a test you can do right now. Pop your hood and look at the brake fluid reservoir. Fresh fluid is clear or light amber. If yours is dark brown or black, it's overdue. If there's sediment floating in it, your brake system is corroding from the inside. A simple flush could save your life and save you from an expensive brake system overhaul. Trick number 8. The oil change interval war. This is the big one. The secret that could cost the oil change industry billions if everyone knew the truth. You've been told to change your oil every 3,000 miles, or maybe 5,000 miles if you use synthetic. Some newer cars say 10,000 miles. The truth? All of these numbers are compromises based on corporate interests, not engineering reality. Let me explain what really happens to motor oil. Fresh oil contains base oil and a complex additive package. Detergents to clean, dispersants to suspend dirt, anti-wear, compounds compounds like zinc, antioxidants, and viscosity modifiers. These additives start depleting from the moment you start your engine. In severe service conditions, short trips, cold weather, stop-and-go traffic, dusty environments, those additives can be 50% depleted by 5,000 miles. The oil still looks clean because modern detergents are excellent, but its protective ability is compromised. That's when wear accelerates. On the flip side, if you drive highway miles in moderate climates with a quality full synthetic oil, the same oil can protect effectively for 15,000 miles or more before the additive package is exhausted. I've sent oil samples to Blackstone Laboratories for analysis, and I've seen full synthetic oil at 12,000 miles, still showing 70% additive retention and minimal wear metals. So, what's the illegal secret? Ignore the marketing. Ignore the sticker on your windshield. Base your oil changes on how you actually drive. If your typical drive is under 10 miles, especially in winter, change your oil every 3 to 4 miles, even with full synthetic. Short trips never let the engine reach full operating temperature. Fuel dilutes the oil, moisture accumulates, and acids form. This is the harshest condition for engine oil. If you drive mostly highway miles, 70% or more, and use a quality full synthetic, you can safely extend to 8,000 or even 10,000 miles. The oil isn't breaking down. The engine isn't wearing. Used oil analysis proves this repeatedly. Here's what I do on my own vehicles. I use full synthetic oil, Mobil 1, Pennzoil Platinum, or AMSOIL. I drive mostly highway. I change oil every 8,000 miles and send a sample to a lab every other change. The analysis always comes back showing the oil could easily go another 2,000 to 4,000 miles. My engines are spotless inside. No sludge, no varnish, perfect compression at high mileage. Meanwhile, people following the 3,000-mile myth are wasting money and creating environmental waste. Oil doesn't wear out on a calendar. It wears out from use and contamination. The quick lube industry survives on the 3,000-mile myth. If everyone switched to appropriate intervals based on driving conditions, half those shops would close. That's why they push the frequent changes. More changes equal more profit. Don't be fooled. Use quality oil, monitor your driving conditions, and extend your intervals intelligently. Your engine will thank you, and your wallet will too. Trick number 9. The tire rotation and balance scam. Here's a scenario that happens a million times a year. You take your car in for service and they recommend tire rotation and balance. Cost, usually $60 to $100. They'll tell you it's necessary every 5,000 to 6,000 miles to ensure even wear and prevent vibration. Sounds reasonable, right? Here's the truth. Tire rotation is beneficial, but it doesn't need to be done that often, and you definitely don't need to balance tires every rotation unless there's a vibration problem. Modern tires wear slowly and evenly if your alignment is correct and your tire pressure is maintained. Rotating every 10,000 miles is plenty for most drivers. As for balancing, once tires are balanced, they stay balanced unless you hit a major pothole or lose a wheel weight. I've seen tires go 40,000 miles without needing rebalancing. The shops push frequent balancing because it's easy money. The machine does all the work in 5 minutes per wheel. They charge you $20 to $25 per tire for something that's usually unnecessary. Here's the illegal trick. Rotate your tires yourself. It takes 20 minutes and the only tool you need is a jack and a lug wrench. Front to back on rear-wheel drive, cross pattern on front-wheel drive, specific patterns for directional tires, but it's in your owner's manual. Do this in your driveway every 10,000 miles and you've just saved yourself $60. As for balancing, only do it if you feel a vibration at highway speed. If the car drives smooth, the tires are balanced. Don't fix what isn't broken. I've been rotating my own tires for 30 years. My current set has 55,000 miles on them, and they've been rotated 5 times, balanced once at installation. They still have 4 millimeters of tread left, and the car drives perfectly smooth. If I had followed the shop recommendations, I would have paid for 10 rotations and 10 balancing services. That's $900 for unnecessary work. The tire shops hate customers who know this because rotation and balance services are huge profit centers with minimal labor costs. One more thing. Always check your tire pressure monthly yourself. Keep them inflated to the pressure listed on your door jamb, not the maximum pressure on the tire sidewall. Proper pressure prevents uneven wear, improves fuel economy, and extends tire life by thousands of miles. A $5 tire gauge can save you hundreds per year in premature tire replacement. Trick number 10. The check engine light reset that dealers pray you don't know. Your check engine light comes on. You're worried. You drive to the dealer or repair shop. They plug in their scan tool, pull a code, and quote you $400 to $200 depending on what they claim is wrong. Here's the secret they won't tell you. That check engine light might have triggered from a temporary condition that no longer exists. A loose gas cap, a brief sensor glitch, bad fuel, a momentary misfire from water in the gas. The code gets stored in memory and the light stays on even though the problem is gone. Before you spend a dime, do this. Check your gas cap. Make sure it's tight. Drive the car for a few days. If the light doesn't flash, meaning it's steady, the problem isn't urgent. Buy a $25 OBD2 scanner from Amazon. Plug it into the port under your dash. Read the code yourself. Write it down. Then clear the code. If the problem was temporary, the light will stay off. If it was a real issue, the light will return, usually within 50 to 100 miles. This simple trick has saved my viewers thousands of dollars. One guy had a check engine light from code P0420, catalyst efficiency below threshold. The dealer wanted $1,800 for a new catalytic converter. He cleared the code, drove 500 miles, light never came back. Turns out he had filled up with bad gas that temporarily threw off the oxygen sensor readings. 2 years later, still no light. Another viewer had code P1171, system too lean. Shop quoted $650 for intake manifold cleaning and sensor replacement. He cleared the code, checked for vacuum leaks, found a disconnected breather hose, reconnected it, light never returned. Now, I'm not saying ignore check engine lights. If the light is flashing, that's an active misfire that can damage your catalytic converter. Get it checked immediately. If the light is steady and the car runs normally, do the code check yourself first. Google the code. Research what it means. You'll be shocked how many codes are from minor issues that either self-correct or take 5 minutes to fix. The repair industry depends on customer ignorance about diagnostic codes. A $25 scanner breaks their monopoly on information. Here's the really illegal part. On some cars, you can reset the check engine light without a scanner. Disconnect the battery negative terminal for 5 minutes, then reconnect. This clears all stored codes and resets the computer. If the problem was temporary, you're done. If it's real, the light returns, and then you know you need diagnosis. I keep an OBD2 scanner in every vehicle I own. Best $25 I've ever spent. It's paid for itself 100 times over by preventing unnecessary dealer visits. Now let's talk about what ties all these tricks together. The common thread isn't that mechanics are bad people or that shops are scamming you intentionally. The problem is a business model built on information asymmetry. When you don't know how your car works, you're at the mercy of whoever you pay to fix it. They can recommend unnecessary services, charge premium prices for simple jobs, and you have no way to verify if the work was needed. These 10 tricks give you the knowledge to level the playing field. You don't need to become a master mechanic. You just need to understand the basics well enough to ask intelligent questions and recognize when someone is taking advantage. Most of these tricks require minimal tools, minimal time, and minimal skill. What they require is the willingness to learn and the confidence to do simple maintenance yourself. Every job you do yourself is money you keep in your pocket. Every unnecessary service you decline is wealth preserved. Over the life of a car, we're talking about thousands of dollars in savings, but there's something even more valuable than money. When you maintain your own car using these methods, you develop a relationship with that machine. You learn its sounds, its quirks, its needs. You catch problems early because you're under the hood regularly. You avoid catastrophic failures because you're proactive instead of reactive. I've seen people drive the same car for 300,000 miles doing their own maintenance using exactly these tricks. I've also seen people destroy cars at 120,000 miles by trusting shops that pushed services they didn't need while ignoring maintenance that actually mattered. The automotive service industry has become a $400 billion per year machine. A huge portion of that revenue comes from from unnecessary services, inflated labor rates, and customer ignorance. When you learn to do basic maintenance yourself and understand what your car actually needs versus what you're being sold, you stop feeding that machine. You take control, you save money, and most importantly, you keep your car running longer and better than 90% of drivers out there. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one of these 10 tricks and try it this month. Just one. Clean your throttle body, check your coolant pH, rotate your tires, buy an OBD2 scanner. Do that one thing yourself and experience the satisfaction of taking control of your vehicle's maintenance. I guarantee once you successfully complete one job, you'll be motivated to try another. Before you know it, you'll be doing half your own maintenance and saving thousands per year. The mechanics and dealers who profit from ignorance don't want you watching videos like this. They don't want you educated. They want you dependent. Every time you choose to learn instead of blindly trust, you're taking power back. You're making a statement that your money has value and you refuse to waste it on unnecessary services. That's the most illegal secret of all, the knowledge that sets you free from predatory pricing and questionable recommendations. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 10 tricks shocked you the most? Have you been a victim of any of these upsells? Drop a comment below and share your experience. Let's build a community of informed drivers who refuse to be taken advantage of. And if you found this video valuable, do me a favor, hit that like button, share this with every car owner you know, and subscribe to this channel because next week I'm revealing the 5 warning signs that your mechanic is lying to you. Signs that even experienced car owners miss. You won't want to miss it. Remember, your car doesn't need expensive services. It needs the right services at the right time. Learn the difference and you'll never overpay again. Stay smart, stay skeptical, and keep wrenching.